Well, an hour and 15 minutes last night, Nicholas Gibbs, wasn't apparently enough. But I did have at least one commenter say that if I'm going to do an hour and 15-minute show, the only one he would watch would be with when you're on it. So, I mean, there you
Well,
go.
let's see if we can grow that to two.
There you go. All right. Well, let's start off with the obvious because you are taking Brian Wong's spot today, and he would be giving us an analysis as you did yesterday, and as you always do, of what happened today with the markets and with Tesla. So I'll just turn you loose for now and ask questions later.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I actually got kind of sucked in today to just watching the SPX all
Okay.
day.
Okay.
I'm working on a new it's not strategy, but it's just a new trade, a 0 day trade. Anyways, and so I was watching the SPX all day, and it actually had some pretty good movement today.
Hmm.
Um, dare I say bullish movement today.
Yeah.
The whole
Think so.
market seemed pretty euphoric. Tesla seems pretty euphoric, and I think we are definitely lining ourselves up for all-time highs in the market in December. I
Okay.
think, especially with the Fed rate cut lining up.
Mhm.
You saw the numbers come out today from EDP, ADP.
Yes.
Does that give you a hint what I do for work? Um, uh, so it seems like things are definitely starting to swing back in the correct way. And then you couple onto that the fact that we are, I don't want to say going to be pumping in liquidity into the market, but we're going to be we're going to stop sucking liquidity out of it,
Mhm.
right? So we're going to stop the MT. So I think that's what you see here. You throw in low volume because it's essentially a holiday weekend. Stock market's closed tomorrow. Friday's a half day. I don't think you're going to see a lot of action. Um, I think it's just kind of a par for the course kind of day with all that as the backdrop when it comes to the macro. And yeah, it was a nice, easy day, is what it was.
Well, you had initial unemployment numbers come out soft, way softer than expected. And so that would have typically that would say, oh, whoops, the Fed, maybe we've been wrong. And then you had the durable goods orders can't come out a little way stronger than expected. Although, as EJ and Tony pointed out, if you take out inflation, it wasn't as big because that's a not adjusted number, but it was still a good number, especially for durables, which have been underperforming. So that would have also said, hey, maybe the Fed's not going to cut, but everybody just they just brushed it off
Mm.
and just went ahead.
Yeah, no, they're cutting.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a foregone conclusion. It's baked in there. If they weren't going to cut, if you guys don't follow, I don't want to necessarily tell you to go follow someone, but Nick Timmeros, I don't know how to say his name. Uh, he is kind of the leak man for Jerome Powell.
Mm,
So he tends to have if they're going to do anything, if the Fed wants the market to digest not having a rate cut, or if they want the market to digest having a rate cut that's not expected, they seem to funnel things through him. So he's worth a follow at least for the next few months while JP's still the Fed chairman.
right.
But we'll see if Hassett takes over. I mean, that's the other thing too. That's part. It's hard. Like when we sit here and we talk about like what happened today or what happened
Right,
yesterday,
right,
what's going
right,
on
right,
this
right,
week.
right,
Like there's
right.
so many
No,
moving parts.
yeah, I know.
That's hard to nail everything, but that's one. Hassett,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Speaking of leaks, it does seem like the White House has kind of leaked out this potential just to see how the market would react to
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
So this could be a good sign of things to come for the market, at least, or at least for the short term. A individual who, let's be honest, will do what Trump wants, what Besant wants, and yeah, I mean that's just another variable. So in general, again, I can go on, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
seems like there's progress on China-U.S. trade deal. Seems like there's more progress with Ukraine and Russia negotiations. So there's a lot going on. Um, And it has me wanting to stick with the idea that when you look at all the signs ahead of us and you look at all the, you know, tinder we have for this potential, flame into the end of the year, this rising, the embers are burning, things are starting to heat up. It looks like we could have a nice year-end rally. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to be optimistic here,
Okay.
and I think Santa's on his way.
Well, okay. On the less optimistic part of the day, we had Elon go, "Hey, we're going to double the number of cars in Austin." Except,
Disagree.
uh-oh.
That was optimistic, but go on.
So he said
Hear
he's
me out.
going.
Just
He
go.
said,
You
okay, okay.
go.
He said he's going to double the number of cars in Austin in the month of December. But just 3 weeks ago, he said he was going to have 500 cars in Austin, and doubling would be maybe 60. So how do we square the circle? How do we take this new news?
Okay. I don't really care what he said before. I don't care what he says now. What I care about is unsupervised FSD.
Me too.
And I would rather take 60 cars with unsupervised FSD rather than 500 with supervised FSD. And I'm of the opinion the faster they start to get to FSD unsupervised, even if it's in smaller numbers, the faster we can scale ultimately. We're not going to scale with supervised Robotaxi. It's not going to happen. And so I think this is exciting because I think the lower number is a reflection of them wanting to go into unsupervised FSD.
Okay.
Remember, and we also don't know how many vehicles they have out there. I know there's lots of prognosticators out there that think they know. For all you know, they actually do have 200 and they only put 20 in operation at a given time. And so that would technically be five. Like, we don't know. We don't know what we don't know. So everyone should just kind of stop all this guesstimation out there, in my opinion, and just watch what happens and go from there. But I am more excited and optimistic if they have 60 cars unsupervised, because the sooner we get to that point, and then it'll take time because
Mhm.
we need to see and trust and let it grow and then see what it looks like when we add a new update to that and how do we deal with that, right? There's more learning to be done there, but we have to go through those kind of checkpoints before we can actually start scaling,
Right.
right? Before we can 10x this year, before we can just deploy in a new city. So I think it's actually pretty optimistic that this is what they're talking about. I think it's optimistic that they're still talking about unsupervised by the end of the year. So no, I think it's optimistic that we are looking like we're still going to scale by the end of the year. So I don't see this as a negative. I would see it as a negative if they said it's still going to be all supervised vehicles.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'd be a negative. I would see it as a negative if um, they said we're going to delay unsupervised.
Hmm.
So yeah, no, I'm excited about this. I think this is great news personally.
All right, then let's back up to FSD 14.2, where everybody's singing its praises. There's no question, apparently, that it's a ton better than 14.1, and now it's better than the 13 series. But I feel like the big negative, not negative, the big criticism so far has to do with navigation. Are you seeing any problems with navigation on yours? What do you think about the fact that it's navigation, and is that an easy fix?
Let's work backwards on that. Is it an easy fix? Yes, I think it is an easy fix. It's I don't think that's a technical challenge. I think that's um, kind of more of an update than anything. Uh, have I been seeing that? No, I haven't, Randy. Why haven't I been seeing
Oh,
that? You
you
might
don't have
wonder.
14. You don't have 14.2 yet.
I'm I'm below the peasants.
I see. I see.
I am
Sorry.
in yes, I'm not worthy apparently. I do not have 14 out two. You know what the worst part is?
Huh.
I'll tell you what the worst part is.
Yeah.
Can I get something off my chest?
Yeah, sure, sure. Go ahead. Yeah,
This
yeah.
is safe space, right? It's just you and me here.
Yeah,
No one else.
just us guys. Yeah.
Good. Listen, I have this best friend. I'm about to start a podcast with him. Great guy. I love him. We've been friends since I was in seventh grade. He's been on hardware 3 Model Y forever. Refused to buy FSD, but he would subscribe here and there. Then he just stopped using FSD altogether because, well, he wasn't getting like the latest versions anymore, right? He was stuck on 12. Then he decides to go and buy Cybertruck. So happy for him. Beautiful. Got it wrapped, everything brilliant. Part of the deal was 0 interest if you bought FSD with it. So he bought FSD with it. Great. I'm happy. He's got FSD now.
Yeah.
You know, he's buying it. Great. He's using it. It's great. But guess who got 14.2 yesterday? He did. Not me. He did.
Yeah, right.
And I'm sitting here. Now I have to deal with getting text from him saying, "Hey, I got 14.2. It's amazing." I'm like, "Yeah."
Thanks
That's
a
all I
lot.
say. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
A day goes by. He sends me a text.
Uh-huh.
Have you gotten the FSD 14.2? And I had to sit there and say, "No, man,
Yeah.
I haven't." You're
Yeah.
right. Your
Yeah.
friend who does all the Tesla stuff,
Yeah.
who got you all in the Tesla,
Right.
who had FSD way before you, all this stuff. No, no, I don't have it. So just to let you guys know that Tesla definitely does not
Play favorite.
pick.
No, no.
No. Or maybe they do. Maybe they said, well, new vehicle, and you get new
Yeah,
update.
maybe so. Yeah,
So,
could be.
but yeah, I won't lie, it's grinding my gears a little bit because 14.1.7 or whatever I'm on, it's good, but it also sucks.
Yeah, it still does the braking
Yeah,
problem.
it's freaking annoying.
Annoying.
It's like it sees like a dark mark on the ground, and it's like, dude, relax. It's
Yeah, yeah.
just a piece of gum. Like, so anyways, thank you for letting me get that off my chest. I
Okay, all
feel
right.
better.
You got it. All right. So let's go back to Robotaxi for a minute. I've been playing around. Last night we talked about the idea that we would have to grow into the valuation. Today I want to talk about a little different aspect that I've been looking at because I'm a marketing guy. All right. And I'm saying, okay, we got two problems here. We got supply, we got demand. So we got supply. There's no question. Tesla has supply. As soon as as soon as it's ready to go, they'll have so much supply. Do we have to drop the price? Is it going to be kind of like you go into a city and it'll take, weeks or months before the people get the idea? Is Tesla going to run a Super Bowl ad? How are we going to get, if Elon is even remotely interested in getting to 1 million vehicles by the end of next year, how are we going to get to that 1 million vehicles when probably very few people, a very small percentage of the population that's aware of FSD or Robotaxi?
Yeah, okay. So I was trying to understand the question there.
Yeah, Robotaxi.
I think no. Okay. So, gosh, you got to make me speak out of both sides of my mouth, don't you? All right.
Okay. Okay.
One, I do think Tesla should be advertising this like crazy, not because of the stock price, not because of Robotaxi or any of that. I think it's a um like a humanitarian social good thing. Especially as a new dad, one of the top reasons why toddlers die in this country is because of car accidents. So
Sure.
to me, making people aware that this life-saving technology exists, I think should be one of Tesla's top priorities. So yes, I do think they should be advertising. Now, as far as growing demand and awareness for Robotaxi, I don't think you're gonna have to do that. I think it'll happen organically, and it'll be like an infectious disease where
Mhm.
everyone will just somehow all of a sudden everybody knows about it. It's just one of those things. These things just go viral, and between being more affordable and just the experiential nature of it, I think it'll catch on. I don't think they have to do a single thing, to be honest.
Will people actually be saying to their friends, "Oh man, I just took the craziest ride. I just went on one of those cars that doesn't have a driver, and they're now tooting around in downtown Atlanta. You should get one. You should go do it."
Tooting around.
I'm sorry.
Your age is showing, Randy.
Oh, not
Uh,
again.
uh, yeah, I do think that'll happen. I
Okay.
think there will be a lot of people. I mean, I think it'll be different for everybody.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I think some people will be like, "This is crazy. I can't believe this happened." Other people will be like, will say things like, "Yeah, it's cheaper. Why would I not do this?" And other people will be like, "Yeah, this is the norm. I've been doing this in my car forever." So I think you'll have all kinds, and yeah, I would be listen. Once they actually start to scale, I'll be shocked if it doesn't just become viral everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So I was just watching Pierre Diamandis and his moonshot show that they came out with today, and he asked this question. I thought I gotta ask, you know, everybody, every one of the co-hosts, but you're the first one that I have a chance. So, what does Thanksgiving
Oh,
2035 look like?
oh,
Will it be significantly different to live in 2035, on a daily basis in your job, etc.? We just wrote a book all about it, but you didn't necessarily have a chapter that talked about the future as you saw it. So, what kind of a future do you think happens just 10 years from now?
man. It's kind of a heavy question because 10 years from now, my son will be 10 years old.
Yeah,
That's kind of crazy.
and my oldest daughter will be 60. So there you go.
So you get it.
Yeah. It's like,
Um, my oldest son will be 10 years old. I'll be 45 years old. Um, I'll probably be sitting not in this office. I will probably be in our new house that we built. In my office there, talking to this gentleman, Randy Kurt, and he'll probably be asking me about 2045. Yeah, I don't know. I think autonomy will become as normal as Uber by then, everywhere. I think you will see a lot of deployments of humanoids in factory settings, mainly factory settings. Um, I think you'll see a crazy high stock market. I think you'll probably, hmm,
will we have like big time significant breakthroughs in medicine that change the way medicine's delivered? Will we see the drop in costs that we've been hearing about? I mean, listen, we've got, we talk about it all the time, but the cost of a telephone call when I was a kid was something that you had to consider. You had to think about whether you were going to call grandma because it was going to be 10 cents a minute,
yeah.
10 cents for 3 minutes. Now it's free. And we've got all kinds of other costs that have dropped dramatically. Will we have almost free energy? Will we have almost free transportation? Will we have almost free other things that today cost money?
I mean, compared to today, no, I actually think everything will be more expensive compared to today. Um, if you adjust for inflation, maybe that's different. But I honestly, I think there's a good chance something really bad happens between now and then.
Okay.
Um, it's especially it's all going to really depend on as far as like the economy where you're talking about there, and you know the the more affordable aspects of life. I think it'll come to our debts, deficits, and our ability to grow as an economy. So I think it hinges on that. And so in a world where we don't have incredible growth, we're going to be sitting there facing our own financial crisis. And I think that's something that everyone should be aware of and think deeply about and just caution about. It's not saying it's going to happen. I think there's lots of things that will be done to mitigate. At the end of the day, we are still the reserve currency. There's lots of things we can do, but it is a concern I have, and I think everyone should be aware of it. But I think if everything can be good leading up to that, I think politics will look a lot different. And I almost think we have to get back to a uh, not the current state of like the Democratic Party, right? Because they're I think, going the wrong direction. Again, you need a new Democrat leader that does to the Democratic Party what Trump did to the Republican Party, to essentially blow it up, start fresh, new ideas, tack back to the middle, right? That's essentially what Trump did.
Mhm.
And if you get someone like that, I think that's the person that can come in and really help kind of restore or really help make energy even more affordable in this country. I don't agree with a lot that's being done right now with energy. Like, I think there's a lot of smart things that could be done. I like every new house you can maybe not make a mandate, but give tax reprieve when you buy a new house or build a new house if you put solar on it. And you could start building houses that have solar on it. You start to make a distributed system to take load off the main grid, right? There's lots of little things like that you could do. Sorry about the background noise. I have construction going on. If you guys hear that,
Can't hear it.
but I think I think you're going to have someone who's a little more liberal to take that approach,
Mhm.
or a more or a younger conservative that is also kind of tack into the middle, and
Mhm.
maybe even more so than what Trump has, um, in order to see that. So I do think we see a shift, because I'm of the opinion that we go from a Trump era to probably advance. I want to say advance Rubio,
Mhm. Yeah.
President VP there. That'd be interesting,
Yep.
especially if if I had to make a real project. Sorry, it's not what you're asking for, but if I had to make a real prediction, I would say that there will be no Republican primaries. That
At
well,
all.
there will be a primary,
Yes.
but it'll be known that the
Yeah.
ticket is going to
Yeah.
be Vance Rubio, and in doing so, you almost need to avoid primaries now
Mhm.
in order to win, because otherwise you spend your entire time in the primaries
Yeah.
beating up each other, attacking in one direction, then you have to attack back the other, and rather than just coming as a united front. And right now, it seems like Vance and Rubio would be a really nice united front. Um, anyways, but after that, it would be silly to not think that we don't swing back
Yeah.
to, right, like, because that's how these cycles happen. So in that span, that leads us into 2035, and I could see there being a focus on energy. In general, with AI and everything, I do think there will be a lot of medical breakthroughs. But I don't think they'll be. I mean, I guess Ozempic is like the last thing that people really marveled at,
Mhm.
and I don't think there'll be anything even as big as Ozempic was, because Ozempic appealed to our vanity.
Mhm.
But I could see there be like a lot of cancer life-saving drugs
Mhm.
that are developed. I imagine there will be a lot in the anti-aging space that comes about. There'll probably be better results for IVF. Um, yeah, I could see a lot of things like that, but it's hard for me to say that there's going to be these big breakthroughs or anything like that. I think as humans will be. I think society will advance so much with technology that you'll see humans start touching grass more. That's my prediction. That people will get back more so with nature. They want to be outside more. They'll want to unplug more from this thing. So no, I have no idea if I just answered your question, but
Well, great.
2035 is a
I did.
long time away.
I did catch you flat-footed on that one. All right, you got time to talk about the Beige Book?
Let's do it.
Okay. They're number one, overall economic activity, according to the Beige Book. By the way, for folks who don't know what the Beige Book is, the Federal Reserve puts together a paper every 6 weeks where they talk about what's going on. They break the country into regions. I think it's 12 regions, and that's what the Fed governors reside over. These Fed governors, their job is to go out and talk to the folks in the region, to talk to the small business, to talk to the big business, to talk, and to really have a sense of these regions. And then they publish the Beige Book, which gives an overall look. This particular one came out today, and it is 12. It says so right here, 12 Federal Reserve districts. And they said that economic activity was a little changed. They called it kind of stagnant, but we also had the government shutdown, and they did say in the report that the government shutdown probably had something to do with the fact that we didn't see much growth in the economy. Thoughts?
Yeah. Okay. So let me talk about the beige book first, and then
Okay.
maybe we can talk a little bit about the Fed itself. Okay.
Okay.
So so yes, you're right. 12 Federal Reserve districts. Oh, that's correct. They also said a couple other things, right? Mentioned that consumer spending fell further. To your point, they blame it on the government shutdown. They mentioned reduced electric vehicle sales after the ending of the IRA tax credit. They talked about manufacturing slight increase. That could be good. Financial service revenues went down. What else did they talk about? I think overall their point of view is that things were that the what's the word they like to use? Outlook. The outlook is steady, I think is kind of their point of view. So essentially they told you a lot of nothing is my take. And I think this kind of gears them up a little bit for what's to come here with rate cuts. Uh, it's kind of my problem with these beige books is that I feel like there's a lot of words in there, but all of it is it could be this, it could be that. Things looked okay, but not too bad. It's like, okay, was it bad or not? It's I don't know. And then they did have some talk in there about AI replacing entry level jobs
Mhm.
and reduce hiring. Don't agree with that, if I'm being honest. I think that's a mischaracterization of what's happening in the market, and people are blaming AI or they're using AI. Look, if a company says that they are hiring less or they did cuts, and they can say they get two birds, one stone. One, hey, we're hiring less and we're cutting less means we're getting leaner, right?
Yeah.
And two, oh, but we're doing it because of AI because we're an AI company. So now you get the benefit from the marketing side of it. I There's reasons to be disingenuous about that. Um, what else? What else they talk about?
Well, okay, so on that subject, let's flesh that out just a little bit, or double click on it if I want to be modern, or at least if I want to be as modern as Chamath, because he uses double click all the time. So I don't know whether Chamath is modern or not. But anyway, on the you're kind of in that world. I don't know how much feet on the ground you get or ability to talk to others that are making hiring decisions or that are needing to be hired and are worried about their jobs or whatever. What sense do you have if you think it's valuable
I'm sorry. If what
in
specifically
your
is
in
that?
your in your world because you're actively involved in the world of
Yeah.
AI? Okay. What are you here? Because a year ago, you gave me very, very clear ideas of what you thought was happening with regard to hiring and firing and et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just wondering, you just explained to me what the Fed said and that you take issue with what the Fed says. Is any of that based on real world kinds of things that you're hearing?
Well, I mean, I see it firsthand, right? What's happening, and AI is real. AI is being used, and I, the best way to understand, in my opinion, how it's being used is it's just better automation. It's really all it is right now. Okay, and people are using it in very clever ways, in very efficient ways within their companies. So, for instance, rather than me having to create a search engine with keywords so that if Randy looks something up, I can literally train an LLM based on my company's holiday schedule, pay schedule, health benefits, all that, so that then people can just ask natural language question, right? That's a little bit of automation there. That's all it is. You're taking something that's more heuristic based and keyword based, and you're using an LLM that's been trained on it. If you need to write specific SQL queries right? Instead of you as an individual writing those SQL queries to go and look for a certain table or schema within your Snowflake, you can just use an agent to do it, where one agent writes a SQL query, another agent calls on the API, another agent, does the retrieval, sends it back to you, does whatever it is you're trying to do. So it's more of the connective tissue within companies, within organizations, within applications. That's where you're seeing these LLMs, these agents, the uh, um, generative part of AI actually taking hold. And the problem is the market doesn't value that. And we talked about this yesterday, I believe, but the market doesn't value that as sexy because, like I said, it's the connective tissue that's replacing internally.
Mhm.
And that connective tissue is not sexy. It's not something everyone sees. It's not really, it's almost not quantifiable, but at the same time, it is in
Mhm.
many ways. And so that's what I'm seeing. If anything, I think there's more hiring happening than not,
Mm.
because it's like you got this new tool set, you got these new abilities, and it's like now you have all these extra ideas what you want to do, but you don't have the human power to actually go and express those ideas.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, people can become more efficient, but people still have their day jobs of managing what's already in existence. Plus, they want to build the new things.
Mm.
Plus, they want to try to build the new things, integrate with the old things, or find a way to disrupt the old things. Okay, but what about all the net new ideas? Who's going to tackle that? Who's
Yeah.
going to have the time to do all that?
Yeah.
Right. And this kind of becomes a problem. And then who's going to teach these people how to use these new tools? And who's going to teach these people how to use these new tools under our company's guidelines and policies? Because otherwise, we've got Randy using ChatGPT, we got Nick using Grok, and you got Sarah using Gemini, and there's no consistency, there's no standardization, there's no structure of a, hey, Randy, don't upload that customer's private information to ChatGPT because that is not kosher and that's kind of illegal, right? But you're doing that, and everyone's out there doing that because there's no structure, there's no guardrails. So who's going to be the person to implement that? And how do you teach that person what a proper way to look at these guardrails, right? So it, there's so much demand out there still for people, but at the same time, everybody is aware of the current climate we're in, and we're not exactly in a we're not in a growth environment when it comes to the economy right now. The economy is still contracting, and the Fed may be slowing down, but it's still contracting because of what the Fed's been doing. And so it's like we see the stop sign and we decide to take our brake off the pedal slowly, but we're still rolling towards that stop sign.
So,
And the
so
what
could I characterize what you're saying slightly differently? Because otherwise people
go
will
for it.
just,
I'm
they'll,
tired. Yeah,
they'll kill you in the comments, at least if they're paying attention to me.
do it.
So we have 4% growth in the third quarter, according to GDP Now. GDP Now, by the way, I double checked with Grok, and it's usually within 0.5%, and usually well within 0.5%. And now GDP Now for the fourth quarter is at 2.8%, and that's even after the shutdown. So that would say growth. Now, a bunch of people are saying that's 100% AI, AI related. And so the housing industry, transportation, we can go down the list, durables, as we talked about earlier, et cetera, they're all in recession. So we have these two very different economies. So somebody who's in the durable goods business might be laying off, while somebody who's in the cutting edge AI world might be hiring. So do I have that right, or do you want to clap back?
Yeah. Let me clap back. So GDP is actually a poor measure for growth. Okay, it. I feel like I've said this plenty of times on here, but allow me to say it once again for anyone who might have not heard. So GDP ignores a lot and it assumes a lot. So, for example, it ignores wealth inequality, right? It ignores that just because there is growing spending by a few, it doesn't mean that that represents everyone. So, while a Apple and Microsoft may be doing good, that doesn't mean that Randy's bicycle store is doing good, right? one can over influence the other. It's like if we sit there and we took your salary, Randy, my salary, and Elon's, and we took an average, it's like we're all doing great, aren't we? Aren't we? Right? We're doing great. No, not quite. GDP also counts things that it shouldn't count, like if there's an oil spill and the cleanup for that, or if there's a hurricane, natural disaster, and well, we got to spend money on that, right? That's not exactly growth, right? But it counts it. You know, what else? Like it ignores a lot of other things that it should honestly count. Like I think childcare or elderly care, one of those, maybe both of those, it ignores. And it doesn't really account for the fact that we're a services economy either, right? It kind of ignores that whole part of it. And we're more of a service economy than a gross domestic product company. Yeah. So it's just not a good metric to use anymore, in my opinion. And again, we can sit there and we can look at a number and we can just ask everybody, does it feel like we're in a very robust growth economy? Doesn't feel like it to me. You know, it feels like, I'm not saying we're at a halt. I'm not saying we're at a standstill, but it doesn't feel like 2019. Doesn't feel, I mean, 2019, 2020 was booming. Like everyone felt it. Everyone felt like they had money in their pockets, right? Now it feels like, you know, you got the haves and you got the people who are trying to have. So I don't know. I just, to me, just because a number says we're growing doesn't mean we're growing. I hope that makes sense.
No,
but
I totally get it. Absolutely. I mean, there's no stat, there's no one stat that you can use to say here's where we are. But if you take GDP and you put it alongside the unemployment number at 4.4, which is people can argue all day, but it's a good number. There's nothing wrong with 4.4 unemployment. It's called full employment. You've got the stock markets at all-time highs, and you're predicting they're going to go back to all-time highs and then some by the end of the year. And so that would all suggest, and you know, I'm sure you could pick out a bunch of stats and say, oh, nope, looks like no, doesn't look as good because we got this and we got that. But just those three together, to me, would imply directionally we're growing, we're doing good, we're doing well. Now, it might not be the kind of growth like you're saying when you really feel it, but I think we're doing okay.
yeah, I mean, again, if you look at it just from a end of the day, what's the scoreboard? How are we doing? Sure. But I would say, look, there's a reason Mandami won. There's a reason for that. There's no ignoring that. And it doesn't matter that it's a historically democratic city and all that. Like, ignore all that. The truth is, people feel like things aren't affordable. People feel like they can't get ahead. And, you know, who was it? I think it was David Freeberg, maybe. Oh, yeah, I want to say it was David. You know, I remember exactly what it was. About a year ago, David Freeburg Chamath had an interview. Look at this memory. Had an interview with Besant about a year ago.
Okay.
And Freeburg said that it's been characterized that for people to feel like they're doing well in life, the only thing that people really need is to see their net worth growing year over year. It's not a certain number of wealth. It's not a certain house or anything like that. People just need to feel like they're progressing and moving upwards. And I don't think people feel that way right now, Randy. Now, I'm not everybody. You're not everybody, right? So I don't want to act like my life is the same as everyone else's, but I'm aware. I'm just, you know, it's just, I don't know. It's just like a little self-awareness. Like I have friends that, you know, have multiple kids and wife lives at home and I don't know how they make it. I have no idea how they make it and they struggle. And, you know, the dad has to work for all day, gone on weekends. And I don't think they feel like that's living either. You know, I know people who, you know, want to get married, but they feel like it's too expensive. Other people who want to have kids and are like, well, how? We can barely keep ourselves afloat.
So
And
as long as we're doing, well, no, but
I
as
know
long
where
as,
you're gonna go. I
okay,
know where
okay,
you're going with this.
no, I'm not going to do the boomer dad thing. I'm just going to say, do you think this is partially at least due to mass media trying everything they can to gin up these feelings that are real? Okay, first of all, I understand there are people out. Larry Goldberg and I've been talking about it for 2 years now. There's people over 100,000 in income that have assets, and there's people under 100,000 that don't have assets. There's a massive divide between how those two groups are doing, and it's probably more of a divide than it's been in the past. But it's not like it hasn't been a divide in half. I mean, it hasn't been a divide for all of, the
No,
20.
you're right.
There's always been that divide. People that have assets and people that make upper middle or middle class, upper middle class incomes and above are doing better than people that don't. But we have had the working class, what do you call the builders and the plumbers and the factory workers, et cetera, that were doing very, very well for a long time before we lost this industrial base. So, okay, so now you've got the reality. I'm going to go right along with you. We've got this reality, but do you think that the reality, the 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 difficulty of the reality is just being exacerbated by the media, when in fact there are free phone calls and there is free education and there is free information and there is a free flashlight and there is a free video player and there is a free camera and the pictures are free and the development is free and the video development. I mean, and I'm just talking about a phone. And everybody's got one. So are we really in a horrible, we can't make it society any worse, or is it a perception problem?
So I would say there's a little bit of truth to what you're saying. And, you can go down that rabbit hole, right? Like there's a certain level of accountability. Did you make bad decisions? Where are you? Are you still out on the weekend spending money that you shouldn't be? I mean, you could go on and on, right? I'm with you. Like I am the quintessential person who says pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Like that's my mentality. It's always been my mentality. Um, I just look, I think everybody needs help from other people. Like you don't get through life. You don't get your big breaks or anything without friends and people putting a good word like that. It's old cliche, but it's true. Your network is everything, and making sure you don't burn bridges, because those are the people who are going to help you out in life, and you need people to help you out in life. But with that said, our society has changed, and there's no denying that. I think I've talked about this with you before, but we went from an era where you had single income households. It was just men, right? Then women could start working. And all of a sudden, it's like, wow, what a luxury. A dual income household. We got all this extra money. We can do these different things. We can invest. We can take this vacation. We can buy that bigger house, all these things. Then we moved into a world where, guess what? When that happens, prices go up. People got more money to spend. More people are buying, supply, demand.
Yeah.
Now it's a requirement for everybody to have a dual income household just to survive. Okay, no big deal. We got that. Everyone's surviving, but it's tighter. So guess what? People start doing that little extra job, that little side hustle. Maybe they drive Uber. Maybe they start a little YouTube channel. Maybe they have an Etsy shop. But then guess what? Now they need to do that just to survive. That's no longer the extra income to make you feel good. And so I think people are getting pressed to the limits. And there's actually a step before that. There's people who have taken second jobs, right? And now I literally know somebody who has a full-time job as an adjuster, works on Fridays at a bar, restaurant. It's a fantastic restaurant too. Best burger in St. Pete. He works there on Friday nights, and he has like a little side hustle that he does. And he has to do all that just for him, his wife, and their daughter to survive. Like that is what I'm talking about, where it kind of breaks the back of the people. And those are clearly people who are putting the effort out there. They're trying, they and I think, I'm not saying you're wrong in what you're saying, but it's not that clean of an answer, right? It's a little bit of what you're saying. It's a little bit of what I'm saying. It's a little bit of this history, but it's clearly at its climax right now of something has to get done, because you literally just saw Mandami get elected, and that's for a reason. And the Trump administration is aware of that, and they're taking it serious. I told you last night, we're moving into the year of
Right.
tackling affordability for the Trump. He
Right.
would not be this focused on it if it was not clear that this is a must this year in 2026.
And he knew it before Mandami, just to say, because he talked about it when he was running for office. He talked about the housing issue. He talked about the medical issue. He didn't have a medical plan, I'll admit to that, but now maybe he does. It sounds today like he's got a lot of different ideas that have been pumped into his office, and he's about ready to make a suggestion. Yeah.
The best thing he can do is not let the Democrats have this as
Issue.
like, this is their weapon right now, right? This is their issue right now. Oh, healthcare. The best thing he can do is, before we get to January, have this locked up, have a deal, sign, seal, deal. Even if you have to bend more towards their way, take this arrow out of their quiver, take it out of their hands, and tackle affordability. Then what do they have come election? Right? And I think that's the plan here. But it's a win-win. And I would rather, going back to what your point was, that the media turns up the rhetoric on the affordability and the government actually does something about it, in the same way that they did something about the border, in the same way that they took action back in his first term with ISIS. When Trump wants to do something, he does it. And he sets his mind to it, and he makes sure that his team does it. And he's got lots of great people. He's got doers on his team, right? And so if they're tacking over to affordability, I'm confident that 2026 can be a very robust year, between rates coming down, White House focused on affordability, no more issues with government reopening, all this AI juice and spending and investment coming through, manufacturing hopefully starting to come back, see more building. Like in Florida, if we get rid of
Property tax,
property taxes for homestead houses for your primary residence, like I think this country could be really booming in a 2019, 2020 type feeling, where even if somebody has that second job or whatever, things have come down enough and their pay's gone up enough where it's like, all right, hey, we can do this. Let's go out for that ice cream cone. I'm just saying, like, it makes a difference.
All right. So last night, one of the things that you talked about that got a tremendous amount of response was your upcoming webinar, seminar, whatever you want to call it. Yes,
my workshop, my options crash course.
Your options crash course, and we had a whole bunch of people respond to it. I was actually kind of blown away, although just financial folks out there that want to come on my channel and pay me, it sounds to me like I do a good job for Cern, a good job for Larry, a good job. Anyway, so there were several people, though, that said that maybe they didn't know how to DM on X. Maybe anyway.
Okay, let me address it.
Help you out. Address that.
All right. First of all, if you have a blue check mark on X, all you have to do is go to my X page, which you can see right down there. That's at @𝐤𝐸𝐽𝐸. Yep. You'll see, just make sure it's me. Randy follows me. Tussle Boomer follows me. Herbert follows me. Farzad, right? That's what you should see. And there's a little message icon with the envelope. Click on that, and you can message me. I'll send you the information. If you don't have a blue check mark, which just means that you don't subscribe to X, which is fine. All you have to do is at me. So essentially you post at Nick Gibbs IAG, say you're interested in the course, and I'll DM you. And that's it. Life is easy.
All right.
So two options. If you are verified, just go to my profile on X, look for the little mail icon, send me a DM, say you're interested. If you aren't verified, just post put my name there at 𝐞𝐬𝐝𝐲. It'll show up blue, and then just write, "Hey, I'm interested in the course," and I'll send you a DM, and then we can talk. And the reason it's like that is I have my messages blocked for only verified users, because otherwise I'll get inundated with hundreds and hundreds of spam mail and direct messages. And as you can imagine, that becomes a lot of noise and not enough signal. And I spend half my time just trying to get rid of that. Just go look at the comments under Randy's. I'm sure that you'll have some random person saying, "Hey, I met whatever, and they had whatever, and they turned me on to Bitcoin and to get this bit whatever." And
Yeah. 100%. All right. So let's look at the numbers real quick. We've got Tesla up 1.71% during the regular trading hours, down 0.11 after hours. Still a great day. 426 is where we are right now. You've already mentioned that you think that Friday, half a day, don't expect a lot to happen on Friday. Obviously, the news could change all that and you could have a crazy day, but for now, that's where.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Let me just add to that. So again, for everyone to remember, tomorrow market's closed. Friday's a half day. Market will close at 1 p.m. I believe. Um,
Eastern.
so correct, Eastern. Um, some notable things that I saw in the market today. Tesla, I said yes. It's funny, back to back days, so I can say I said yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I mentioned that 420 is kind of that make or break, right? Is it going down to 350, 360? Or are we pushing towards all time highs? Well, this, take a grain of salt a day like today and this week in general, because it's just lower volume because of the holiday. But 426 is, it's pushing us back to the upside, not downside. So
Mhm.
I'm optimistic about that. Coupled with that, the VIX has dropped all the way down to 17. All right. So that's a pretty big deal. Last time we saw the height of what it was, I think it was like 25 or maybe even higher, was back during the Liberation Day,
Right.
if I'm not
Right.
mistaken. So, you know, things are trending in the right way for Tesla to choose the upward rather than the downward. So again, it's all a point in time of
Mhm.
analysis, but take that with what you will. It's a good way to go into your Thanksgiving.
That's right. That's right. And if you really want to put some cranberry sauce on the side, then you look at the bonds. They dropped.
I love that you just did that. I love that you just did that. That was
That
so corny. That it was awesome.
it wasn't even a dad joke though. So the bonds dropped one full basis point today, getting us back down to 3.992. So everybody that follows this channel knows that I'm happy. It looks to me like we do not get futures tonight. So we get futures tomorrow,
Correct.
correct? Right.
Correct.
Okay. So
Oh,
what?
okay. I'm just now realizing this in real time. Um, this is just too much to say all at once.
Oh,
I'm looking at something right now, not to be cryptic here, it's a lot to explain. We actually just moved into a very bullish position with Tesla and momentum.
oh.
So I I didn't look at this at all today, but I I'm really happy right now. Like I'm speechless because I wasn't expecting to see this indicator to show what it's showing, but
So
it's gonna be good. Yeah,
for
it's good.
those of you out there that don't know that Nick says he's not a chart guy, he's not like a technical so Randy is actually not. I actually only look at ceilings and floors. That's all I look at. I could care less about 100-day moving averages or 3-day moving averages or any of that stuff. But Nick, he's on the next level. So he does look at
Of
some of
not caring.
without caring. But apparently you care right now, though. You know.
Well, no, it's interesting just to, when you see. I don't care about lines on a graph. I really don't. But I think it's interesting to see volume and momentum coming,
Mhm.
and you start to see shifts that happen. And when you see bigger time frame shifts, you go from a bearish is the wrong word, but from a downward momentum to starting to start, the tide starting to come back
Mm,
come back in,
mhm, mhm.
that's signal, right?
Yeah.
That's especially on a bigger time frame. And so again, like I said, I don't look at this every day. I just happen to look at it because we were on, and I the first signal on the weekly, which confirms on the monthly, which is also on the daily, is actually all structurally set up for a dare I say all-time highs.
An all-time high. Okay. All right. Well, speaking of beat down things that really rallied today, we talked about Bitcoin yesterday, and you
Oh
must have
yeah, I
we must have we
didn't even
must have
look at it.
we must have stimulated it because it's up
Oh, not
3.65%
bad.
to back into the 90s.
Not bad.
I would have to think that that would also be a very positive sign for those who own Bitcoin after hanging out in the 83 range for a while there. It did not go down to 77 per Tom Lee, and has now bounced back significantly.
Yeah, look, I think Bitcoin's going to be kind of a little stuck until after January, where some decisions get made on how companies like MicroStrategy are looked at from a index and ETF point of view. So until January, I think Bitcoin will be choppy, volatile, flat to down is what I would guess. I mean, I could be wrong. Uh, not I don't want I have no stake in the game here. I mean, obviously Tesla owns Bitcoin. I'd rather go up than down because
Yeah.
it's good for our balance sheet. But there's big decisions happening in January. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go on my X page. I think I made this public and not just to my subscribers, but I explained everything that's going on with Bitcoin right now. I did like real deep analysis onto it. Just for me to understand something, I need to write it out a
Okay.
lot of times it's not for me to understand it, but it's for me to find the gaps in what I'm thinking so then I can go do research. And so I took that and I shared it with everybody. But January is kind of a big deal for not necessarily Bitcoin, but for Bitcoin holding companies like a MicroStrategy.
Okay.
And depending on what happens, all all the indexes, all the ETFs that follow indexes might have to sell all of MicroStrategy and other companies
Right,
like
right, right.
the ETFs from BlackRock, right? All those might get sold out of index funds.
Yeah, for those of you who want to know a lot more about that, tomorrow night I'll have Cern Basher on, and that's a big part of what we discussed today was the details of why that might happen. Was that tomorrow nights or is that Fridays? Anyway, it'll be in the next couple of days.
Okay, good.
Cern Basher is only going to be on 4 times in the next 4 days. So, well, everybody's traveling, and Cern said, I got time.
Yeah,
So,
that I got issues with Cern right now. He's
oh,
moving from Florida to Texas, so
is he? Is
he's a trader now.
he's a traitor now?
Yeah.
So has he made that public?
I believe so. I
Okay.
think he put it on X with
Okay. All right.
a video of his wife doing stand up.
In Austin or in New York?
Well, in Austin's the one where he mentioned
Okay.
it.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, that's the rest of the market was flat. I mean, yeah, the Dow and the Nasdaq and stuff were up, but basically all the rest of the numbers were pretty darn flat, which is not shocking. I want to encourage everybody to go back and listen to Nick and I. Since you just spent some time with us tonight. If you really want to, I mean, we were really digging last night. That was a great show. So for anybody that missed that one, I'll put the card up right here, and you can go check that out. Any last thoughts? Any last words of advice or direction or anything else other than buy the book, buy the book, buy the book?
Okay, well, that was gonna be my first thing, so I'll go to my second.
Oh, okay.
Uh, if you're gonna fry a turkey, make sure it's completely thawed.
It's okay. Yeah, turkey frying can be dangerous.
I'm gonna be doing it for the first time, so
Oh boy.
I'll let
Okay.
you know how it
Is
goes.
that is
If I
that
come back and my hair is all of a sudden short, you'll know why.
what happened in Hong Kong to burn down that city block, or was somebody was frying turkey?
Oh, I have no idea.
No idea. Oh
But
yeah, big, huge high-rise fire, like
oh, really?
multiple buildings, and yeah,
Was that today?
yeah, probably there today, maybe hour yesterday. I don't know.
Oh. I'm so out of the loop. I just have all this construction going on, so I'm just like
It's all tied
just
up.
construction all day. Yeah.
All right, we'll end it with that. And thank you again, Nick Gibbs, and to all of you out there. As always, it has been amazing talking to you.
Happy Thanksgiving.